wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
You shall not pass!
Welcome to Market Makers, everyone. Your home for tomorrow's TA today. Friday, we finally had some fireworks. The crypto world, the market world, YouTube is being flooded right now by this is the GFC 2.0. The crash has finally started. These are the same people that were telling you down here the crash finally started back in April and missed out on the strongest turnaround rally in stock market history. They're back telling you everything is over. This is just like the GFC. Well, let's go over what's actually happening in the charts, because as you guys know, I've been talking about this move for a long time, for months, looking for a sell-off for the slingshot that's going to take us to the upside, that upside on the S&P futures between 7,000 and 7,500 for a blow-off top. And then 2026, my base case, will look like 2022. We are trading in the 1920s on the 100-year cycle. Made that video. Go check it out. A lot of people enjoyed it. But let's talk about what's happening. We had a sell-off. We're down 4%, or we sold off 4% from the all-time high. Now, I don't think this sell-off will go any more than 6.5%, and I've showed you why the last couple of videos, but let's go over it. So when we look at this, where would a 6.5% sell-off take you? It would take you down to about 6,350 on S&P futures. By the way, guys, all the assets are time-stamped. I'm going to cover the Mag 7 plus 1, which is Broadcom. I'm going to cover the ETFs, going to cover the metals. It's all time-stamped down below. If you enjoy this video, do subscribe. Click the thumbs up button. You want to join our Discord, join our YouTube, click the join button on YouTube, or visit us at marketmakers.trade. So looking at a 6.5% potential sell-off, which means we'd get one more flush, okay? So if we get one more flush, I'll show you this zoomed in. If you get one more flush, market's moving waves. You get a down wave, you get a reflexive rebound, which is what we have now. And if we get one more flush, basically an ABC to the downside, I would look at 6,350. I don't anticipate it going down more than this 6.5%. Here in market history, we're going to go over this real quick because it's important to keep covering this. But when you look at market history, we did the same move in 2024. We sold off 7%, then rallied 2x, up to a major high, and then sold off over 11%. Okay, this is the type of move I think that's incoming, and more importantly, this was just midstream here in an uptrend. More importantly, this is what we did at the top in 2021. Did the exact same move. Because markets move in waves, parabolic wave up, you get a retracement. Then you get that final push to the upside. You did the same thing back in 2021. Parabolic wave up, retracement of 6.5%, and then you 2x to the upside for your final top before selling off 27%. This also coincides with the Bitcoin cycle, the top and bottom cycle I've been showing you in my Bitcoin videos. This is the move that I think we're doing. We are mid-move right now. We sold off 4%. We're somewhere here. We got a reflexive rebound. If the rebound fails, we're going to sell off about 6.5% once again, and then we're going back up, guys. This is what I see happening in the market, and it's tracking like I thought it would. It's taking longer than I thought it would, but that move finally happened here in the marketplace. So this is the S&P. Once we have this actual final retracement, if this is the low, or if we make this new low down to 6,350, then we can look more specifically at these upside targets between 7,000 and 7,500. Let's back up and look at some other things. Fear and greed. What have I been saying for months now? You don't get a blow off top in neutral. We were in neutral before fear. We were barely in greed for a little brief period of time. When we go to make this final top, we're going to be in extreme greed. It will be euphoric. If we talk about things like the VIX, We talked about the RMAs crossing. This played out exactly like we talked about. RMAs crossed. You got your spike in your VIX. Here on the TVC chart, you got the 22.5. You got higher on other VIX charts. But this is right in line with these previous spikes. I wanted to see this. If we get that one more flush, if we do get one more flush, I wanted to see us hit 25 at least, and maybe end up between 25 and 29 here in historical norms. But again, that RMA crossing, trend line breaking, same thing that happened over here. If the previous RMAs spike up, RMA cross, spike up, RMA cross, spike up, no false signals. Good signal to look at. And this is where we are on the daily. So when we look at this on the daily, how we zoomed in here. Actually, let's go to a smaller time frame. Let's go to like, here's the NASDAQ, and then we'll go to the 4-hour charts. So we look at the NASDAQ futures, same thing. What do I think the NASDAQ will sell off ultimately? I think you're looking at it 8.5% if we get one more flush down. Why would it do that? Because this is typically how markets move. You get the wave up, retrace, you get a retest. If the retest fails and you take out that lower level, you get that last flush, right? And that 8.5% is key. Remember, this market is led up by mega cap tech. 8.5% takes you basically to 23.3 if you get one more flush. This essentially would be an ABC. You get your A down, your B up, and then your C final push down. 3-wave correction, you base, you go back up. But when you look at this historically, again, it's all about the fractals in the past. When you look at this historically, you did this back in 2024. Spring equinox top, you make your major top, you go down, look, notice the percentage retracement, 8.5%. You 3x the move to the upside before doing a 17-18% correction to the downside. So you did an 8.5% correction, 23% up move, then a 17.5% correction, and more importantly, coinciding with the Bitcoin cycle as well. Back in 2021, notice the correction, the exact same correction, 8.5% down, 17% up, and then you lost 38% to the downside. This is exactly what I think the NASDAQ's doing, just like what I think the S&P is doing. Now let's look at the smaller time frame chart so you can see this a little bit more graphically. When people talk about the bottom being a V-bottom recovery, are we going to get another V-bottom? We didn't have a V-bottom back in April. And I got to go backwards again. Sorry, guys. We didn't have a V-bottom back in April. We recovered in a W. This is why I teach the W fractals. This is why we looked at longs. This is why we longed Solana, Tesla. This is why we took longs in silver. We were looking at recoveries, and you look at patterns, and you recovered in a W fractal. Your low, your rebound rally, your higher low, and then you're gone. Okay, so you didn't do a V-bottom recovery, and I don't think you do a V-bottom here. I think in a 4-hour time frame here on the S&P futures, this is December contract, on the 4-hour time frame, you're most likely, if you get this last flush down, there's that 6,400, 6,350 that'll drop you the rest of the way for that retracement level. But if you hold this low, right, if you hold the 6540 low, the way that you're going to recover is going to look something like this. You get your sell-off. Here's your reflexive rebound. We'll look at this on fibs. And then you come back down for a retest. And if you can hold a higher low, say 6,600, 6,625, 6,550, any of these levels here, if you can hold a higher low, we'll look at it from fibs, but then you're going back up. You get a W recovery. Same thing you did right here. Wave down, reflexive rebound to try to test some fib levels, pull back, higher low, then you came back up again. A W recovery pattern, just like the April lows. So when you're looking at the price action and people are like, oh my God, this is going to flush out, just remember that next level would be right in line with historical norms before a major top, before you bottom and slingshot up for a major top. So you look at this from a fib perspective, click up here on your fractal high, pull it down to your low, you reflexively rebound right to the 618. In a 50-year study on the S&P, the 618 is the most commonly retraced to fib. You bounced up to the 618. Now you're selling off some again. So it's all going to be about, do you hold a higher low here, or do you form a 3-wave move? And your 3-wave move would look just like this, right? Your 3-wave move, if there's another flush coming in, would look like this. hitting your 618, and then your C wave takes you down to that 6350 target that we were just talking about to the downside. Then you bottom, then you're going up for the blow off top. That's what I'm looking at. You look at Canary here on a 4-hour time frame, got oversold, momentum still, still bearish, still pointing down, and you got a lot of volatility in here chopping around. Look, overall, like I said earlier in this video, I think 2026 will look like 2022, meaning that we're going to have Bitcoin make its cycle top this year. Watch my Bitcoin video out after this, and you're going to see heavy selling in 2026. I don't think it's the collapse. When we talk about cycles, you look at the 100-year cycle, you look at the decennial cycle. Decennial cycle, years 0 through 4, are typically, if you're going to have the bearish years, that's when you see them. And if you're going to have the bullish years, it's years 5 through 9. And if you watch my 100-year cycle video, you'll see how accurately and how astonishingly, especially when you consider the Spanish flu ending 100 years before CV19 started, you start seeing these parallels line up. The trillions in investment coming into the economy, the deregulation, JP Morgan today announcing a 1.5 trillion in investment into US and core infrastructure needs. So there's a lot of money coming in the market, but you have a euphoric market. Just understand how history can help you, guide you towards your future. If we get that last flush, 6350 to the downside, if we hold this higher low, watch for a W to form, and of course, watch these videos because you're going to see it. If we look at NASDAQ NQ futures, be the same exact concept here, guys. If you hold that low from our 5% sell-off here, if we can hold that low, then you're looking like this, a W recovery pattern that came up, tested a fib, and if you get another pushback down, which is a completely normal wave movement, then you're looking for the next leg to the upside. And again, all the money moves the same way. You did the exact same thing in the same time frame here on NASDAQ futures as you did in S&P futures. These W patterns, and also at the April low, these W patterns appear over and over again. So it's all about, do we get that last flush down? If we get that last flush down, that 23,250 area, maybe a little bit deeper down here, that 23K. Let's measure that one more time. See what this ends up being at. We're at 5%. Historical norm, looking at 8.5%. Yeah, so right here, 23,250. If we get that last move to the downside, then you're looking at that ABC hitting you at 23,250. Be like this. I'm just going to draw it off to the side so you can see it a little bit more clear. Reflexive rebound. You get that last flush down, and trust me, YouTube will explode with "this is it. The big crash has commenced." And I don't think it has, guys. I think that money's there to the upside. Just like I told you in April when I kept making video after video, God candle rally incoming, major rally incoming, and we took our longs. You saw the market explode to the upside. It's too early. This is not the top in the market yet. Now, if we took this level out, we'll make some different videos, but this is historically going back this whole cycle. Remember, the cycle started with the pandemic sell-off, the trillions in stimulus. This is how this has played out. So two different ways. We get that last flush, or we hold for a W recovery. Either way, new all-time highs are ahead. It's just a question of where's the buying opportunity. Is the buying opportunity on the Mag 7 right here? Getting a higher low before a breakout to the upside, or are we going to get that last flush to the downside for that buying opportunity to ride this thing up, okay? If we look at this from fib perspective, let's click the fractal high, pull it down to the low, bang on 618. You reflexively rally to the 618. Do you chop sideways and just try to break out, or are you going to get that push back for a W pattern to form here on the 4-hour time frame? Be sure to stay tuned. Follow me on X, by the way, at Market Canary. I give updates there as well. And when you're talking about the NASDAQ, remember, it's the Mag 7 plus 1 that are 40% of the gains in this rally. Strongest recovery, turnaround rally in stock market history. So you want to look at the Mag 7. And what are they doing? Here's Microsoft. Microsoft had its massive parabolic, look at that gap, right? Massive parabolic run up, sold back off, and where did it reflexive rally to? Rallied up, Parabolic rally, sold off, and then it reflexively rallied to the 618. You got to learn Fibonacci, guys. Guys that are just using trend lines are missing out on the mathematics of the market, and there's so much you can see what happens here with Fibonacci. Now, we have a couple different patterns forming on Microsoft. You could have the higher low W pattern, which again will be bullish, right? There's your low. Higher low, take out that midpoint fractal, you're breaking out to the upside. You could have that pattern forming, or this could be a massive three-wave double top. And if you get a three-wave double top like this, what's the key level to hold? Your fractal midpoint, 492. You want to hold 492. Right now, you're at 511, 512. So again, when you're looking at the big Mag 7 stocks, just look at the patterns they're making. Alternatively, you could just be doing a coil, higher lows, maybe here in trend. This would look really bullish, break out to the upside. You know, we can't predict the future on how price action is going to work in the marketplace, but what you can do is look for patterns that play out over and over again. That's why it is a pattern, and you can trade them accordingly. That's Microsoft. Apple came right up to its all-time high, just fell short, and just fell and sold off, right? So look at your support levels on Apple. You got 239 down here. Let's get rid of this fib. You got 239. Another key support level is going to be right there at 225, right in this cluster of candles, as you can see. But as of right now, Apple did its sell-off, filled that little gap there. Is it going to try a chop? If it fails and does a double top, like this type of move, you start looking at the patterns on these Mag 7 stocks. That could be how you get the second flush out, right? To second flush out to give you the 8.5% drawdown. If it can hold this and start chopping sideways and making higher lows, that would be bullish. You look at NVDA, there's your support line, 183. Your critical support line down here at well, now it's 164. Prior to that was 168, but let's just put it at 164. But you're on top of your trading range, right? There's your big sell-off day on Friday. You're right back on top of your trading range, chopping around. So you got to see how all this plays out right now. If you come back in your trading range, largest stock, largest company in the world, can be a trigger to continue with the second flush. If we look at Google, you're kind of forming a bull flag pattern here. You see how Google's just drifting down. It's in a channel to the downside, right? So you got this pattern going here in Google. Got a rebound back up. You have support here at 226. You're at 242. That's right at the base of that gap. And if Google was to get more bearish and had a big flush out, maybe to come fill this gap at 215, again, that's your trigger for the larger move to the downside on the S&P and on the NASDAQ. Right now, you're looking at these Mag 7 here on Amazon as well, but Amazon is just at support. You're chopping sideways in a coil. You have that key level of 211. You're at 219. When I say a coil, you have a key trend line here. You bounced off of it. You coiled up to it, bounced off of it again. You got weaker, and then you just sold off with the markets, but you have your low. You still have a higher low. Obviously, you have a key uptrend here. So you want to stay above 211. If you come down below 211, you can have more downside. Cover that in another video. Tesla went right up to target. Bullish W reversal pattern. Right to 462. Got one candle spike above it, and now you're just kind of weak price action here, drifting around. Tesla needs to stay above. You really want to see it stay above the midpoint fractal here, which is 363. You're at 422. So again, you know, it's all about how these prices react. Do we get another move back up that makes a lower high and fails? You're going to get that second flush. Tesla just starts chopping, right? Just see if it chops, makes some patterns, gets some higher lows. You're going back up, and the next target's going to be 521 to the upside. If we look at Meta, Meta has been suffering more than some of the others here. You're basically at 800. You sold off basically $100 at 691. But again, looking at these key support levels, you look at Meta, Canary RSI went into the floor, and now you got a higher low on the Canary. Volume's been basing, momentum's still down. Momentum will take longer to turn back around, but you're just looking at the range. You want to hold above 691, right? You came down and tested it again on the sell-off, and well, before the sell-off, but you came down and you're still holding that low there of 691. So again, this is a sideways price action coil. You went up and then you came back down, and you're trying to base. You can come back down, but ultimately all these prices are coming back up. So just watch your key levels. And then you had a Broadcom announcement today with OpenAI. Broadcom is your Mag 7 +1. Got to come up with something for the 8. I don't know. What's 8? You got Mag 7. What do we call it if it's 8? We got to think of something for the name so I can stop saying Mag 7 plus 1. But 200% is 365.66. It's right where you found resistance before, just above it. So again, you got Broadcom pushing up. Some of the other ones going sideways. And that's where you're at in the Mag 7. You look at the SPY, same thing. We can pull a fib from the all-time high down to that low. You're hitting a 50% retracement, right? So this is your first move down in the reflexive rebound. I'm not going to draw it all again. Move down, wave down. Reflexive rebound right up to 50%. If you can hold this level and start coming back up, that's bullish, right? But if you get the final flush out, right? The final flush out will be your wave down, reflexive rebound. Final flush out will come down to the downside. And again, we'll cover those levels on the future videos. I just showed you this on the S&P and I showed you this on the NASDAQ. So just pay attention to this. You want to stay above 654. If you get that final move to the downside, you can see what happens here on the SPY, which is just going to track to what the S&P does, as well as the triple Qs. There's your big sell-off in the Qs. Where did it fall to? Right to fractal support, right at 588. Reflexive rebound, daily time frame. You only got one candle. Wave down, reflexive rebound up. Final flush out could push you down lower. And if you hold that range and end up recovering like this, get a push back down ultimately. Watch for these W reversals in all of these patterns, okay? So we pull our fib from the top down to the bottom, hitting right on, bang on 50%, which is 601. Got up just above it, 601.74, and now you're just kind of stuck at it here in this recovery price action for today. So when I watch these levels, we'll see what kind of bullish pattern forms. We'll see if we get the ABC flush out to the downside or if we get a W reversal pattern, because you see the W's happen all the time here in the marketplace. Double bottom. We get that second lows higher, then it's a bullish W. Russell, this is our 3-week chart here, still in that triple top formation. You did get the move down. Is that all you get? Because Russell went down, what, 3.5% there on that weekly chart. And if I put this on the daily, I don't know what the percentage drop was on the day, on Friday. On Friday, you went down 3% in a single day, right? And you can see it on the daily chart. Maybe that's your flush out, because if you look at this, we'll see what we got here. Got our trading range here, defined like this. You see that? You got a nice trading range. Get rid of that so you can see it. Get rid of that. There's your trading range. And price basically went up, sold off, went up again, failed at resistance, and then sold off below support. And now you get that reflexive rebound back up. So, Russell right now, which, by the way, this is the best proxy for Bitcoin, because Russell and Bitcoin topped within 72 hours of each other back in 2021. I mean, this is still very bullish, right? You're just in a trading range, even with that sell-off. And you gain a lot of that sell-off back. You're at 24.66. So 25.10 is your key resistance. This is all a good omen. I see everything else going up. Blow-off tops are still to come. Let's jump over to the metals real quick. We look at the metals because we're coming up to some key targets. We look at gold futures. I have that first target up here we've been talking about. 41.76 on gold futures, give you some nice symmetry in the market. 300% off your 2015 low, 100% off of your 2020 high here in August. So it gives you some nice symmetry. Gold's still very bullish here on the monthly time frame. You look at the monthly time, look at the canary. That's insane. This thing is way overbought, but it's euphoric. You got the volume to support it, the momentum to support it. So you watch for targets and you watch for a top to come in. But when we get a retracement, it's going to be a very nice size retracement. Typically October, mid to late October, early November is a key pivot area for metals. Covered that in a previous video. But just looking at those targets, we'll call it 4150 or 4175, 4400. If you can get above 4175, ultimately 4400, 5000 is my next target, guys. I don't think it's going to get to 5000 from here. I think you're going to top out and retrace, but that's just how my targets are laid out vis-a-vis Fibonacci and patterns. We look at the silver cycle. Silver cycle, very, very bullish. We're running a full pi cycle here from our low to our high. And if we get some type of top coming in late October to early November. You have a pi cycle completion date of October 20th. Be looking for a turn potentially to form. Overall, my blow off top cycle target here for silver was 59 and change. Let's just call it 60 for psychological reasons. But $60 silver, you're at 51, almost 52. You have to flip 52.37. That's your next key level. If you can get on top of 52.37, this is silver spot. You can get on top of 52.37 and hold it for support. I think silver is going to 59.60 bucks, guys, and then it's going to top and then put in a big retracement. Okay, so just keep the metals in your mind when you're watching this, as you're watching this video. Look at gold on the 4-hour time frame. There's that first level. This is your spot price. 41.32 is a level you want to watch. You're at 40, just about 4,100 right now on gold. And then to finish it off here on silver, 52.37 is that key level you need to get above, and then flip, and then you can have 59. We'll see if you end up topping around that level. Remember, the time is more important than price. If the silver cycle does play out and you start getting a turn there in late October into early November, it's going to be very important to see where these metals are at, because they've been on parabolic runs, massively overbought, and that is a good thing, because I own a lot of physical metals, but also it's a good thing for a potential trade setup to get a very nice retracement and profit on the downside. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, if you want to join our Discord or get our videos throughout the week, check out the join button on YouTube. You can check out our website, marketmakers.trade. Watch the crypto video coming out next. See you guys on the next one.